Good afternoon. My name is Neil York, and I'm filming this in regards to a year-end final project for Seminar in Finance. My project encompasses the debate of to either purchase, hold, or sell, or maybe just strictly stay away from Papa John's stock. A quick overview of the company. It's an American restaurant company that was formed in Jefferson, Kentucky in 1984. It became incorporated in 1991. Currently, it is represented in 5,000 different locations, with current footprint spanning in 45 countries and territories globally. The biggest thing that most people that would associate Papa John's would be the mom and pop type local franchise that one would call and order pizza for delivery or pickup here in the United States. But they're much more diversified than we give them credit for. The company has 5 distinct business segments. You've got the domestic company-owned restaurants, as I spoke of just a moment ago, the mom and pop, traditional delivery, carry-out type business segment. You've got North American commissaries, North American franchising, international operations, and there are other business segments. Papa John's postured its value to the company on fresh, never frozen crust, paired with its fresh tomato sauce. The big spin in the early to late 90s was exactly that: fresh ingredients, and just made a very customized spin that this wasn't just a normal pizza company. This was something above and beyond. This was something that at its core had value, that went after the ideal of more of a homemade type traditional meal versus just the Pizza Hut, Domino, get it in, get it out as fast as you can. Let's see. Papa John's really, I would say, has been carried, and to a larger extent is exactly what it's named for. It was based off of Papa John, his personality, his charisma, his drive to start this company from afresh. So Papa John, also known as John Schneider, essentially, founded and went on the slogan icon of better ingredients, better pizza. Really start out by the appeal of not only having a great product, but the American dream, starting something from its infancy on his own, building up a mega company. The irony in the whole deal is that some 20-25 years later, what would be known as their biggest asset or their biggest competitive edge has now been their biggest downfall, as we've seen that due to some racially charged commentary from their owner, whether it be just the various board meetings that he's had, some public speaking engagements, but we've now seen his brand, his image become toxic. This toxicity has, we've seen it start early as late 16, but definitely in 2017, the company really started to see its biggest declines because of it. Rightfully said, late Q4 of 16, late Q4 of 2016 is when Papa John's saw its biggest value. The stock at one time was valued nearly $93, and that's coming off a couple different things. In Q2 of 2016, they signed a deal with the NFL for branding, for also being able to allow sell their pizza products or any of their other commissary items at NFL stadiums, and to a larger degree some college facilities as well. That would include football, basketball, anything that the NCAA could brand and market. Really caught fire, and after 20 years of hard work was able to get his product that was mass distributed. I'd say that the irony of what we saw was in late 16, early 17, when he made some racially charged commentary in 2017, we saw the slide of his stock. And really, to a greater degree, the stock has never stopped sliding. We saw in early 2018 the NFL come out and disassociate themselves with Papa John's. To a large degree, other stadiums such as University of Louisville, of which, obviously being a Louisville-based company, and also their football stadium's named after John Schnatter, come out and just disassociate themselves with him, say that, hey, listen, we don't stand for the same moral objectives that this man does, and we don't agree with the things that he says, and ultimately we're not going to support the products with the company that he is associated with. So we saw late Q4 16 stock valuation somewhere in the $93 range, and it tumbled all the way to as low as $38 in early 18, Q1 of 18. 52-week valuation of the stock. Currently I would say from mark to mark Q4 of 18 versus Q4 of 17, we've seen $68 being the high and $38 being the low. We continue to, I guess you would see that, early 18 being the lows. We have seen a market correction in late Q2, early Q3 that's rallied through November of 2018. A lot of that's the seasonality of pizza products. A lot of what we see across the country is there is cyclical demand for pizza, generally starting in August, which is associated with football season. We see a lot of pizza delivery August through about late November, early December, most specifically related to college. Ironic enough that you get the NFL starting its season in September, but those two coupled together, you see the biggest cyclical demand annually in the pizza business in late Q3, early Q4 every year. So we saw Papa John's stock bounce off its $38 low and recover back up into the mid to upper 40s. I apologize, the upper 50s, I would say, in November of 2018, and with essentially as soon as college football stopped, the stock's been plummeting since. Going home Friday afternoon, we were sitting around 45.08 with roughly 30.5 million shares outstanding. You look at Papa John's and you say, well, where do we go from here? Looking at my net present value, I think the company's, if we use the stock price of $45.08 and use for a swag number 30.5 million shares outstanding, my net present value is the company's overvalued by almost $650 to $700 million. I believe that if we want to use the metric of 30.5 million shares, that the stock price should be, with the current financials provided, it should be a mid to upper $20 stock. The biggest thing that we've seen also develop, especially in late 2017, has been the complete deterioration of the equity. A lot of that is Papa John's Corporation, the board of directors, forcing John Schnatter out, telling him that, and this has been litigated back and forth. So you've seen a lot of highs and lows, but one consistent variable that has not changed has been the devaluation of the stock price. You know, I don't know what kind of recovery it could have. You know, it's a very mature market. Players are very well established. You look at Domino's, which their brand portfolio, their technological IT and AI investments that they put in the market over the past 5 years um, really have left Papa John's in the dust. And you couple that with all this toxic culture, this you know this morality that has just pretty much imploded onto Papa John's, just really kind of putting them in a um, very dangerous area. You know, I would say that like Domino's, they do have a very good international presence. I think that has helped them to somewhat stay afloat. You know, if you look at revenues in the past 5 years, they've been pretty stagnant, or pretty steady, but I'd say stagnant. They're averaging anywhere from 2.5% to 3% annually on revenue growth. Cost of goods sold are anywhere from 75 to 80% of that. So, you know, they don't have huge margins. I would say, you know, looking at their stock, or not their stock, but their WACC, you know, they've been able to manage anywhere from 5.25 to 5.5% WACC. Um, they're really they're very heavily weighted on their debt versus equity. But now that we've seen this huge equity implosion up to the point where they did a lot of purchasing of treasury notes to generate income. You know, in 17, so which has devalued their stock tremendously, or their equity tremendously. You know, I think that's going to be a big thing where people look to, in my opinion, to stay on the sidelines. You know, it's sitting here at $45. You've seen a technical correction coming off the lows of 17, and coming off the seasonality of the pizza industry here in 18, and I would imagine that we would go back and test the most recent lows, and try to eclipse the $30 mark. You know, at a sub $30 mark, I would imagine that what you do is you probably get some type of industry consolidation. You know, we see another player such as a Domino's or Pizza Hut, or maybe a newly emerging player come in and try to acquire some of the brand portfolio that Papa John's has, most specifically in China and Canada. Um, but outside of that, you know, with the negative beta evaluation, the NPV value, which, you know, I have, you know, very negative right now on a 5-year projected income statement. It's hard to get real excited about Papa John's. I mean, you know, my personal opinion would be to puke the stock and stay away. Maybe you get probably some guys coming in trying to cherry pick it in the low 30s and see if it does consolidate, or see if we get some new fresh momentum. But outside of that, Papa John's is definitely sitting in a very tough spot. So I've sent an email with all of my evaluations, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.